Hello there, I'm Donna, and in this video we're going to look at how to do the Picot cast off. This is a simple cast off that will add just a little bit of decorative detail when you don't want something too fancy. In this tutorial you'll learn how to do this simple cast off and see how it actually works. When you know that, you'll be able to customise it to get different effects to suit your purposes.
Picot cast off is one I often use for edges in my designs. I like it for its simplicity and hope you agree it adds a little something special to your edges. It's a breeze to knit and you can easily add to any project you're knitting, as it doesn't really matter how many stitches you have to cast off.
So here I've just done a few rows of garter stitch, so I've got something to work on, and we'll get cracking with this Picot cast off. So firstly we're going to cast off 2 stitches, and then we're going to start casting on and casting off to make those picots, and I'll show you what I mean. Okay. So we're casting off 1, 2. I've just cast the first 2 stitches off. That leaves this, this is the 3rd stitch in that row. I'm going to slide that back over into my left hand needle. Now I'm going to cast on 2 stitches, and I'm going to do that using a cable cast on. So I'm going to put my needle through there rather than doing like a knit cast on where you'd go through there. Either is fine. I actually just prefer the cable one because I like a firmer picot. So that's the first one, and that's the second one. Okay, so we've got 2 cast on stitches, this, and then there's 2 stitches in the row. You'll always get this gappy bit here as you're going along. Don't worry, that'll sort of sort itself out enough to not be too noticeable. So what we want to do is we want to cast off the 2 new stitches, so that makes our lump, our picot, and then we also want to move across the row by 2 stitches, so we're going to cast off 4 stitches. Okay. Hope you're counting. 3. Oh. Okay, and now we've done that, it's kind of rinse and repeat. So we're going to slide that back over to our left hand needle, and we're going to cast on 2. Okay. And then I'll just straighten that. Ah, how have I got a knot in my arm? There we are, gone. And I'm going to cast off 4. Okay. And that's, we've got another picot and we've moved across 2. So we start again, slip over to your left hand needle, cast on 2, and then we're going to cast off 4. Two, 3, 4, and there you start again, slide that over, and you carry on doing this across the row. So here I've got to the end of the row. I've just done my last picot and cast off 2 stitches. So I've cast off 4 stitches. I've got the 1 stitch on my right hand needle, 1 on my left, and that's where you come to an end if it's an even number of stitches to start with. If you had an odd number of stitches, you would come to this point where you've got nothing, nowhere to go, and all you would need to do is fasten off that stitch. Okay, but as we had an even number of stitches here, we're just going to do this very last picot. So business as usual, slide that across, cast on 2, okay, and then we're going to cast off all 4. Okay, and then you just need to break your yarn. Okay, and then I like to do this to pull it through. Okay, you're just pulling your yarn through then. And I always find if you go down the tip of your needle like that, you just get a tighter kind of knot at the end, okay? And there you have your Picot cast off. And you can see, yes, there are those little gaps, but there's not too much there to see. And that's where we've got 2 stitches for each Picot, and then we've got a 2 stitch gap. So that's how you do a simple Picot cast off where your picots are 2 stitches long with a gap of 2 stitches in between each picot. But let's look at what happens when you play around with that. Okay, so here's the sample that we've just done with our 2 stitches per picot point, with our 2 stitch intervals, our gap between. So, but we can be a bit more adventurous. We can decide actually we want a bit of a further gap between our picots, and that will actually give you quite a nice effect. And that's what we've done here. So we've still got our 2 stitch picot, which means we cast 2 on, then cast 2 off, but we've got a 4 stitch gap here instead. So as you work across the row, that looks like cast on 2, cast off 6, okay, and that's actually quite a nice spacing for those picots, as well as playing around with the interval, yes, that is the right word, interval between your picots. You could instead keep the same distance as before, but make the picots longer, and then this is what you'd have. This is how it would come out. You get this more of a frondy effect. So that is casting on 4 stitches, casting them off, and a 2 stitch gap, okay, before you do the next one. So what it looks like across the row is cast on 4, cast off 6, okay, and there's your Picot casty. So you could have a little fun with that depending what project you've got. Now you can watch videos all day, but the best way to learn a technique is to actually do a technique and carefully watch what you're doing as you do it, okay? So I challenge you to pick up some needles and yarn now, cast on 20 to 30 stitches, do a couple of knit rows just to get a little bit of knit in to work your edge to, and get cracking, have a go, have a play. I hope this tutorial has been helpful to you. If so, it'd be really nice if you give it a thumbs up. Anyway, that's it for today. Bye for now.